All right, everyone, this is sort of stating the obvious to many of you, but we need a digital bill of rights to protect the internet and the free flow of information in an age that at this point involves an internet of everything instead of just an internet of things, to the point where basically every aspect of your life at some point is influenced by the digital era, if not the internet, something that is paired to the internet. Your microwave practically connects to the internet these days, and your refrigerator has a GPS tracking system. I would argue that at this point, in order for a person to be basically what the founders would have conceived of as a citizen, which is a fully functioning member of society with latitude, with mobility, with the ability to produce, the ability to move around, work, interact with others in what you would consider a modern manner. Back then it would be with hemp-printed manual press billets, then with the TV and ham radio and stuff, and now with the internet. In order for a person at this point to really be a fully functioning free citizen at all, they have to have full and uninhibited access to all digital platforms, shy of them actually breaking the law using them. So like using Facebook to embezzle money, using YouTube to post illicit porn or something like that. With regards to anything that doesn't fall under the umbrella of U.S. law, as in they're breaking the law, or it's not speech related, like botting, spam. It's not really technically a form of speech at all, because it's not you doing it. You've written a script. A robot is doing it. Robots don't fall under the Bill of Rights. They don't have enough intelligence yet. Maybe never will. What I would say is that because of the important and intrinsic economic nature alone of the internet in day-to-day life and in commerce, so literally in the form of trade and industry, it should be absolutely considered necessary that citizens of the United States, U.S. law not applying directly to people in other countries, should apply to any legal law-abiding citizen to the point where they shouldn't be able to be kicked off of any of these larger networks. If they want to operate under 230, which was the way in which the modern internet was built in the first place, to shield from copyright and other repercussions, companies that were platforming various users. If companies want to partake in that protection, if that's the sort of internet we want to maintain, I would say we need to expand those protections considerably. Now, one suggestion I have made is expanding 230 and simply giving it teeth, making it explicitly clear these protections will only apply to you if you do not editorialize non-illegal content. If you attempt to, we'll kick you out of 230. You're a publisher. You're open to legal repercussions for anything posted on your site. That's basically all you have to do to fix the largest problem on the internet. Another problem, though, is the fact that government keeps trying to, like with COPPA and things like that, the government continuously uses fear to convince people to allow it to tax the internet more incrementally. We've seen this with crypto, certainly, anything digital in nature, to tax things, to regulate things, to seize servers, and to run roughshod over the basic structure of the internet. Creating a vertical monopoly which is tied at the hip with government. It's already illegal, by the way, under U.S. law. The vertical monopoly that's formed by big tech at this point is already illegal. You don't need any additional laws. You just need to have some people with spine in Congress, which at the moment you don't really have, and with the actual ethics to not just pretend to have a spine, like someone like Ted Cruz, who will drag Jack Dorsey before a committee, not put him under oath, let him lie outright, make a couple angry tweets, and then let him go. If it weren't for the bread and circus showmanship of that, maybe we could get something accomplished. A digital Bill of Rights would be very, very simple. Simply instituting something so that U.S. firms, which are the hegemons of the tech world, are treating U.S. citizens and lawful residents with deference, with the understanding that to do otherwise is economically disastrous and will inevitably lead, by the way, and this is something that's never spoken of. Libertarians always get fixated on the constitutional side of these things. Well, free speech, free expression. It's important. What about the pragmatic side? Silicon Valley begins pissing off large numbers of users. What's one of the fastest growing, largest sites now? TikTok. It's a Chinese spying app. It's a Chinese spying company. Literally, it's spying on users even when they delete the app. There's only one reason why U.S. teens and tweens and stuff are using TikTok. Because U.S. firms, because of the monopoly that they created, failed to innovate properly. And they alienated a lot of users. I literally know content creators that now prefer to use TikTok, in short form and all, for political diatribe, for satire and stuff. Comedy has moved to TikTok. Well, that never would have happened if the big tech firms had been managing things properly and not engaging in monopolistic and therefore anti-capitalistic behavior. TikTok would be a backwater right now. Nobody would be using that shit. Who the fuck would want to use a Chinese spyware app if US firms were offering the same sort of dynamic, fun thing to do? So of course, that's why alt tech is growing. Half the alt tech sites aren't based in the US. I use BitChute, for example. BitChute is based out of the UK. And could, I don't know, they could move it to Thailand or the Philippines or something tomorrow. They could move it to the fucking Gambia. The fact is that when I promote BitChute, I'm promoting a company that's not within the United States, with people not within the United States working for it, with a CEO not based out of the United States, which will pay taxes on its revenue, not into the US coffers. I'm giving money and time and effort to a site that's not based in my own home country's economy. When I use Subscribestar, I believe that they are based in Russia. Yeah, I guess Boris and Natalia are getting some of their propaganda money for next election's phony fakebook ads from me because I use Subscribestar to raise money and also to donate to BitChute. So it's sort of a double whammy with that one. I get a gold membership and you should too. They're almost 100% funded. Not based in the U.S. To my knowledge. I believe they're based out of Russia. And you see this with other sites as well. And I think some of the, like Parler and Rumble and Gab and stuff, I think those are all US-based. I think Odyssey is US-based. But some of the alt-tech sites aren't. And they're quickly growing. And that's a problem for Silicon Valley. That's a problem for jobs in the US. It's a problem for the US economy. It's a problem, by the way, if the US government wants to have latitude to act when something is legitimately wrong, it removes that latitude. The US government doesn't have a whole lot of influence over what some Russian server farm does unless it wants to try to hack it or destroy it with a massive attack to make its servers break down. Remember what it did when it introduced that virus into the nuclear reactor system in Iran that one time. That was dubiously made and dubiously deployed in that era. Doesn't have as much latitude over the UK. You got data sharing requirements and all sorts of agreements, but the law is different. The people that enforce it, the judiciary that would be involved is different. They can request, hey, this site is acting in a problematic manner. They've got Taliban propaganda or something. There's nothing you can do about it unless you can get that foreign country to agree. And by the way, that process, even among allies, is very, very slow. What we need to do, therefore, for strictly pragmatic reasons, I'm not even going to, as a libertarian, I'm not even going to mention the Constitution right now. That has been talked to death. I've already made 10,000 videos on the fucking subject of the fact that the current vertical monopoly fundamentally denies U.S. law, the suppression of free speech by sites that platform government goods, figures, and services is already unconstitutional. They are already public platforms. It is already the modern town square. It is already blatantly illegal, and any judge would find that way for these companies to argue in this case. But just for pragmatic economic reasons, by the way, the Republicans, tell them it's about money, because that's all they fucking care about. It's the only time they grow balls is when cash is involved. Tell them it's about the money. Foreign firms are grabbing up parts of the internet. They're beginning to grow as a ratio. The U.S. was hegemonic 10 years ago. There was no competitor. What firms were competing with the U.S. big firms 10 years ago? Not many of them. There were a few, with some upstarts and stuff. By and large, it was the U.S. Patreon, your share is dropping. Subscribestars is rising. YouTube share is dropping. You've got upstarts that are beginning to displace it. Some of them aren't based in the United States. Google's own search, which is coming under fire for anti-monopoly law in the U.S. already. It's already going through proceedings. That they manipulate search results and essentially they're screwing their competitors through their own search engine. Again, you're beginning to see the decline in some aspects and part or parcel of the big U.S. firms, partially due to the negligence of Congress in keeping them as platforms. When you alienate millions and millions of users by kicking off large creators who are making videos, who are making streams, who are making blog posts, who just tweet, they ship post on Twitter, and you kick somebody off who has a large audience, it has a ripple effect. We saw this. The best example I can give you is with Patreon. Patreon years ago kicked off Sargon of Akkad for a joke that he made about Nazis several months prior. I lost half of my Patreon income because of this, simply because I was loosely associated with Sargon and there was an audience overlap. It affected many creators. Subscribestar came out of nowhere and is now quite large, quite beefy because of this. Once you got a foreign group that could find a payment processor that Patreon failed to find and didn't go belly up like Maker support, it's been solvent now for years. I make more money on Subscribestar than I make on Patreon. I'd like to be able to use just US-based firms, but I can't do that. In fact, US-based firms, because of the vertical monopoly that has formed, are less secure for even US users than using a site in a country where you don't even technically have full legal protection. Isn't that surreal that we've allowed it to come to this point? This is the modern public square. Virtually all industry and commerce in the world involves the internet. The internet is a place where groups of people can get together, bandy ideas around, and advance human technology an order of magnitude faster than they could before. And we have Silicon Valley attempting to preclude large swaths of the population based solely on their political, social, or religious viewpoints from that pool of people. They're innovators too. They have ideas too. We're holding ourselves back. Other countries and other firms in those countries will come along and do what Silicon Valley's not willing to do at some point, platforming those maligned users, and they will become dominant. Let us hope it's all tech that ends up doing that. Even if they're foreign firms, let us hope that it's the people that are dedicated to free speech that are supplanting them, in lieu of an Internet Bill of Rights, than TikTok and groups like that. But unfortunately, the latter have deep pockets, because those centralized, very authoritarian states, they would love to knock Silicon Valley on its ass, and they have trillions of dollars to do it. That's about all. Peace out.